The name of that song is titled Power Up, and it was written and recorded by my special guest today, David Newbould. David, welcome to the Friday Afternoon Music Mix.
Well, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you. Mike sent me your new album recently, and I just was nuts about it. It's just terrific. You're in the vein of folk, Americana, and about, 7 other genres that are in there. But it's just a wonderfully, a rock especially too. It's got such a beat and a wonderfully dark overtone that I really enjoy. I want to congratulate you on this. The new album is called Power Up. It is one of 4 full-length albums that you have done. And then I know you have 7 other EPs that are in your catalog. You're originally from Toronto, Canada, but moved to the U.S. as a teenager and then migrated to Austin and then back to Nashville. Give me a little bit of an idea of what motivated you once you decided music was going to be the field of choice.
I grew up in Toronto. At a certain point in my teenage years, I sort of knew what I wanted to do. I started working at doing it in Toronto and had, bands, and we played clubs and whatnot. I wasn't really intrigued by a lot of the music going on here. And I just, at that point, all my North Stars were my musical heroes. They had all not been in Toronto and been in places like New York and LA. And I just felt like, well, that's where all the opportunity must be. So LA was sort of too far, and I knew nothing about how to even get to LA, but New York was, a one day's bus ride from Toronto. So I just moved down there, just started trying to build a life where I felt like I should be. So it was an adventure, and I was there a good 7 or 8 years, and then felt like I felt like I'd kind of gone up and down an arc, and it was time for a change, which, looking back, I think New York City's just full of hundreds of thousands of stories of people moving there early in their 20s. And a lot of people live there in their 20s and then seem to leave. But I wasn't thinking of it that way. But I just had enough, and I moved down to Austin because I was really intrigued by a lot of the music there. And I'd gone down to visit, and I loved it. And so I stayed there for quite a while and fell in love with Austin. And then I got some opportunities in Nashville that I had been sort of looking for, these type of opportunities. So I moved up to Nashville, and I've been there about 12 years now.
Fantastic. Notice that this new album, Power Up, was pretty much done during the pandemic, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Producer
Scott
who is
Sachs.
also a collaborator on that, Scott Sachs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you recorded that in his home recording studio.
Well, we made it a recording studio. Yeah, it was basically his garage. He had some gear there, and we just started with one song, just not thinking about an album or not thinking about anything. I brought my son over there to play with his kids one day because we were friends. Came down with his bass, and he said, my wife and I took our TV to the repair guy yesterday, and he said, it's not powering up. It won't power up. And I thought we should write a song about that. I said, oh, okay. So the kids were playing, and we just came up with this bass line, and we just kind of goofed around on it for a while. And before I knew it, this song came out of it, and it was so exciting and so different sounding from anything I'd done. And I had demos of all the songs for the album done, and I was trying to figure out where I was going to do it and how I was going to do it and with who. That was just such a good time. The Power Up thing was so out of left field that I just thought, well, we need to do this because it's definitely not going to come out sounding the way that it's sounding going in, which is an exciting notion to me because he's an eccentric guy with an eccentric mind. Pretty much everything that comes out of his little lair is good and interesting and exciting. So, yeah, we did it. We set up a pane of glass between the two of us, and we were pretty much in these two opposite little rooms for about 5 or 6 months working on it until the very end was when it started opening up a bit and we could actually be in the same room and try it this way. And we could actually, play the same instruments and whatnot. It was fun.
So
Because like I said, I didn't really know if I was making an album I was going to release. I just had these songs that sort of were of the time and this really weird time, and I just wanted to get it down for posterity. So we just went as creatively as we could without thinking about any type of boundaries or anything. It was really just for us, and then it just built some momentum, and then people got interested in it. So we put it out, and
it's terrific, David. It really is. There's just some really good songs on here, and One of them that just jumped out at me, of course, I'm old enough to remember when it was issued originally by Crystal Gale.
Get ready for the times to get better.
Ready for the times to get better. Yeah. And that was originally written by Alan Reynolds and then released in 1978. But you have made just this wonderful dark version of this. It's just what I really enjoyed a lot.
Thanks a lot.
What inspired you to pick that one up?
Well, really, like the true story is that a gentleman I co-write with sometimes named Roger Cook. He's a very classic old British songwriter who's been living in Nashville for decades. And he was at a show I played one time, and we sort of hit it off and became friends and started writing songs. And his publisher is also Alan Reynolds' publisher. So before COVID started, he really liked the demos of all the songs Roger and I had done. And so he approached me about doing some of their songs and making a record, and they'd be behind the record and all that. And then he listed off some songs that I might like, and that was one of them. I really just loved the song. And then when COVID happened, it wasn't a deal, but everything we were talking about sort of just stopped because of COVID. So I held on to how much I loved that song, and I had worked out an arrangement that I liked. And before the album was done, I felt like we should put that out as a single just because it just spoke to the times. So I just really connected with it from the first time I heard it. And I had heard it. I didn't maybe from when I was a lot younger or something. So I just connected with it, and I thought I should do it. So we just did it. Well, I wrote him and asked him about it, and he was very cool about it. And he told me his whole story of how he had written it and everything. And
That must have been fabulous.
Yeah, it was. It was really cool.
I think one of the things that you so brilliantly did with that song is that by adding that haunting violin in there, done by Kristen Weber, who's very well known and recognized in the industry.
Yeah, that was actually Scott's idea. I was playing some guitar and it just wasn't really working. And he said, "What do you think about violin?" I said, "Violin would be great." And so we called up Kristen, and
it worked. It really did. Yeah. Why don't we do a second song from Power Up? This is one of my favorite songs on the album that you chose, Peeler Park. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
I drive that long, lonely road. I've got a million things to do, but they can wait. 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun ain't started to rise, but the hounds are barking inside of me. I've got a problem no one should have to hide. Oh, a problem that's been growing way down in my soul. Now I can't walk in that house until I get control. Excuse me, stranger, do you think that it's too late? I got a feeling it's worth the wait. I've got a feeling it's worth the wait. I got a feeling it's worth the wait. Well, it wasn't always there, or if it was, I didn't know. It kinda caught me unaware. Felt like a place I was always bound to go. got a feeling it's worth the wait. See the parks where I go when I can't keep my own head straight. I drive that long, lonely road. I've got a million things to do, but they can't wait.
The same kind of beat to me as several songs on there that are just that great beat. And I noticed that when I was reading some of the reviews and information on your bio, this whole album kind of took a different tone from what you have done in the past.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I try to feel that all the albums I do, but I mean, there's always an undercurrent of whatever my sound is through it. You know, I think just the way this one was recorded, the last record I did, Sin and Redemption, we did in a really nice studio, and we just had some incredible musicians, and I was really pleased with how it came out. And I felt this one, I didn't really feel like the need to do any of that. I just wanted it to just be really sort of raw and creative in different ways. It was mostly just the two of us, but for some people coming in here or there, like Kristen. Again, Scott, I don't know, just because of the way he works, it just opened my mind up. Like there were instances towards the beginning where we'd cut a song a certain way and I was happy with it. And then when we got towards the end of the album, I started realizing it's really not interesting enough now. Like we've just broken so many barriers, you know, that I would have normally come up against. So I thought I want to get more like this song called Home Depot Glasses. You know, originally I sang it,
Oh,
I
I
had
like
a melody.
that.
Oh, thanks. It sounded very nice. And, you know, as we got deeper into the album, I wanted to get deeper into the song. So we just kind of scrapped it and started again from scratch. So things like that. I just wanted to push the envelope as far as I could.
My special guest today is David Newbould. And let me point out, too, that it's spelled a little bit differently than I had seen it in the past. It's Newbould. Website is davidnewbould.com. He also has a great YouTube channel that you can watch several of the videos on. Google him online, some of the other places that he has played and performed. Also on his website, links to videos there that you can see. The new album, Power Up, was released on June the 10th. It's just a fantastic album, David. I really like it a lot. Got some gigs coming up, and it looked like you're going to start again in August, and then you're booked pretty much into October. Where after that?
Well, we're working on a Northeast run for November and hopefully a Texas run in there too. In September, October, I'm going overseas to Europe solo.
Oh, great.
In 2 or 3 weeks there. And then next year, I'll be going back there with a full band with a 3 or 4 piece and playing. We're just trying to fill up the calendar as much as we can in this country, and then hopefully I've wanted to get over to Europe to play for a long time, and I've just never been able to put it together. But finally, the pieces are kind of seem to be in place. I'm hoping to 1 or 2 times per year, and the rest of the time spent domestically. We're looking at a West Coast thing too. Well, I'd love to get up your way too. So we're definitely working on putting a West Coast thing together. I'll have to talk to the person that's helping me on booking, but the dates will all be on my site.
Great.
And I'll be happy to pass them on to you directly too when we've got them.
Oh, that'd be super, David. I'd really enjoy it, especially if you get up and you're touring between, Seattle and Vancouver. We're right off I-5. You could just stop in at the studio and I'd put you on the air live. It would be fun.
Be very cool.
Oh, I know. My listeners would enjoy it very much, and we'd have a hoot just talking too as well.
Mm-hmm.
My special guest today is David Newbould. His new album is titled Power Up. You can hear some songs off of that on his website. You can watch his videos there. He also has a great YouTube channel that you can look at. Website, davidnewbould.com. Power Up was released on June the 10th. It's just fantastic, David. I really enjoy it a lot. And Home Depot Glasses. I enjoyed that one as well. Tell me a little bit. That doesn't start out the way you think it's going to. He's kind of got a little, calypso beat or something with it. And then you listen to the lyrics and you go, this is interesting.
Well, so that was the night when John Prine passed away. I read through these Home Depot readers. They're about $5. And I buy a new pair about every month or two, then they break and I get another one, and I can't seem to break the habit. And so we were sitting down to have dinner, and I looked on my phone and I saw that John Prine had passed. And the next day I wrote the song about that. Really, I just said, I was devastated and a flood of emotions because we know he had been sick, and then it seemed like he was getting better. And then we didn't know if he was getting better, and then all of a sudden he was gone. So the next day I just sort of sat down and wrote this song, just sort of, I guess, thanking him for who he was, who he meant to so many people, his place as a songwriter and his place in Nashville and his place inside so many people and all the gifts he brought. And so wrote the song. That's the song I was talking about, where we cut it and it sounded nice, but I felt like it wasn't personal enough. So I thought, we got to dig deeper. And he said, again, Scott said, what if we try one of these beats on the old organ? And I said, that's a good idea. So I changed the key and we just sang it over and over and over again until the final take. There was no melody at all. I was just sort of reciting. And I thought that felt more like what I was trying to really get across. Yeah, and then we added the flamenco guitar, and again, I just like things to be interesting. I like to play guitar. You know, I've always shared the guitar on most of my records with other people because I'll have been using people in my band or whatnot. And this one, there was no one else to do it, so I just did all of it, which I was happy to do. Sort of have fun and make it as interesting and heartfelt and sort of raw as I could.
You did a great job. You would have never known that you didn't have all that great talent that you had on there on some of your earlier albums. One of the people that jumped out at me, I am a big fan of Dan Baird.
Yeah,
He's a character.
Dan, he's a character. I love him to no end. We've written a lot of songs together over the years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was fortunate. We have this mutual friend who used to live in Nashville who produced several of Dan's records with him, and he and I were friends, and Dan was looking for a new person to write with. Our friend Ben suggested me, so I went over and we just hit it off, and we've written probably 25 or so songs. Yeah, and a lot of them have come out on his Homemade Sin records and his different projects, and so he came down to the studio and played on the last couple of records, but not this one because of the COVID.
I had no idea you had that strong of a collaboration with him. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I
that's
think
great.
Bob
Bob Dylan was a fan of the Yahoos. Either told him or told Warner Hodges, guitar player, what a fan he was of the Yahoos record.
That's
It's a
great.
pretty cool thing.
Yes, it is. Warner Hodges is great too. I like him a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Great. Nice guys, both of them too.
sounds good.
Mhm.
My special guest today is David Newbould, Newbould. DavidNewbould.com is his website where you can read a lot about his background and watch some of his videos and go to his YouTube channel and watch even more there. The new album is called Power Up. It's fantastic. It was released on June the 10th. We've been playing it on the show. Why don't we, on our way out the door, play The Last Letter?
Love it. Great.
Thank you again so much for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me.